Oh no.
It's a cultural divide. I'ma get it on the floor.
You really about to do it?
40 acres in the mule. This is bigger than the music.
Yo, could this have been the worst halftime show performance in the history of the Super Bowl? What are white people saying? Black people, young people, old people?
It sucked.
The halftime show was awful.
The worst halftime ever.
What a nightmare.
It was so bad, Jimmy Carter came back to life just to turn off the TV. So bad, Trump was hoping someone would shoot him in the ear again.
40 Acres and a Mule, what is that?
This is why Black history is so important.
Well, you're tuned in to Chosen One Cinema, where we decode the cinema and elevate the culture. I'm King Kosher, and I'm gonna learn your ass today. Let's go.
So let's decode the cinema and elevate the culture.
Now, I know it might seem like I'm a little late to the party, but I wanted to really take the time to study the many facets of Kendrick's performance and enjoy the plethora of different reactions and responses that people are still posting today. Now, we had a lot of people who were upset about the Kendrick performance this year.
Too loud, too reckless, too ghetto.
I'm done with the ghetto. I've had it up to here with ghetto. I know they want to say rap is this and rap is the streets and rap is the current and rap is the that. Give me jazz. You want to go black? Go art. Don't go ghetto.
But to my viewers, what do you think? Do you think Kendrick's performance was too loud, too reckless, too ghetto? Tell us in the comments. A lot of people were saying that Kendrick should not have been the person to perform. It should have been Lil Wayne, because the Super Bowl was held in New Orleans this year, and why not have somebody who could represent the city, who's from the city, like Lil Wayne? Now, of course, MAGA has their own meltdown about everything, mostly around the notion that they couldn't understand a word he was saying.
Bro, I couldn't understand a word that was being said.
Aside from the political nature of his performance, on top of the fact that they just felt that it was an all-around terrible performance.
Watching white people crash out over Kendrick's performance at the Super Bowl halftime show is yet another reminder to mind our own damn business, keep to ourselves, and rest, Black women. Because what we're really witnessing isn't just outrage, it's privilege throwing a tantrum.
Trump left 2 minutes before the ending of the performance. And here's the huge one, describing the performance as black nationalists and calling Lamar a mumbling pagan satanic cultist. Wow. So if you have a good understanding by now as to why many people dislike the performance, please hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And we'd appreciate it if you keep watching to see why many people actually enjoyed the performance and why it's so important for the culture today.
That halftime performance was probably the greatest piece of art we have seen since Shakespeare.
Hey, all right, calm down, calm down. After all, we did have Michael Jackson, but anyway. Now, it only makes sense to me that Kendrick was universally ordained to be the artist to perform this year for the Super Bowl, because his performance represented the grace and resilience of Black culture in the face of systemic oppression, the government, and in symbolic reference, Caesar. Now let's make that connection. So in the beginning of the video, we see the dome. It says Super Bowl LIX. LIX standing for the number 59. And at the bottom, it reads Caesar's Superdome. Now, I want to make a biblical connection and reference here. This is not meant to impose religion on anybody. It's simply to make a reference, okay? The number 59, the number 5 can represent grace and human responsibility, and the number 9 can represent judgment or finality. It's often believed that at some point, the wicked government is gonna face its day of judgment. Now, the symbolism of Caesar's Superdome. The Super Bowl took place at the Caesar Superdome, named after the casino giant, but the name Caesar itself represents authoritarian rule, oppression, and control, much like Julius Caesar's dictatorship over Rome. This sets the stage for Kendrick's performance, which often carries themes of resistance, rebellion, and breaking free from oppressive systems. Now, Kendrick Lamar's art challenges authority. Kendrick has always been critical of government oppression, police brutality, and systemic racism. We can refer to his songs All Right, DNA, and The Blacker the Berry. His performance in a stadium symbolically named after an oppressive ruler becomes a form of protest within itself. It's as if he's delivering a message directly inside the empire's own Colosseum. Now let's tie it to Rome's fall and America's government. Julius Caesar's rule led to the downfall of the Roman Republic. Kendrick's work suggests that America's democracy is under threat due to oppression, systemic control, and injustice. The same way Rome fell to corruption and dictatorship, Kendrick could be warning that America is heading down the same path, and he's standing in the middle of Caesar's house to say it. Performing within a space named after an oppressive figure like Caesar, Kendrick is doing exactly what many revolutionaries do, calling out the system while standing in it. You can refer to Kendrick's lyrics in his song Bodies. Quote, "Everybody must be judged, but this time God only favoring us." He even goes on to say later, "Started with nothing but government cheese, but now I can seize the government too." Now it doesn't matter what your political affiliations are or who you voted for. Kendrick's Super Bowl performance at Caesars Superdome was a statement of rebellion and a challenge against systemic oppression and the entire industry itself. And as Kendrick stated, the revolution is about to be televised, using hip-hop as a revolution.
The revolution about to be televised. You picked the right time but the wrong guy.
Even above the revolution will be televised. What he was getting at there, if you didn't realize, is that the game has been rigged against the Black community since day one. Even with the way that the system has been rigged, the Black community has had the largest influence on our culture in this country.
Hip-hop has always been the voice of the people, and Kendrick is using the biggest stage in America to challenge the empire from within. Now please share in the comments with us if Kendrick's political messaging was a hit or miss for you. After all, this is bigger than the music. We talking 40 acres and a mule.
Kendrick said 40 acres and a mule. This is bigger than the music. And if you've never heard that phrase before, please watch this video.
And when he said 40 acres and a mule, I didn't know that that's what was offered to slaves. I had no idea, because guess what? I wasn't taught that. And the one thing for someone like me, I grew up in white America, Southwest Pennsylvania, okay? Like 90% of my area is white people. So I grew up, the only reference I have for Black culture is through music.
When he said 40 acres and a mule, he was making a historical reference to 1865, where a promise was made to formerly enslaved African Americans to grant them 40 acres of land, and some families were also going to receive a mule.
For like farming agriculture purposes, as a form of like reparations, or to bring about equal economic development, like equity basically. Because the United States isn't capable of actually doing anything good, really, especially when it comes to race, they never kept up that promise.
This promise was never fulfilled because after President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, President Andrew Johnson took office, and instead of fulfilling the promise and giving the land to former slaves, he restored the land to former Confederate owners, which left freed African Americans without resources and dependent on the system that had enslaved them.
I never really equated it with something else that was very important to American life, which was the Homestead Act, an act that the federal government, they would give free and clear 160 acres to people, and it was white people who took that land. This may be apocryphal, but I seem to remember in class hearing how there was a date and they had people lining up and they set off a bell and you could just go and stake out your plot of land and it was yours and you could farm it. And that was the beginning of generational wealth for a lot of white people. And here we have enslaved people who were brought over against their will and finally released from bondage and promised they would be given 40 acres and a mule, and they got nothing.
But when he said this is bigger than the music, it's about the broken promises.
Think about that. Think about how you'd feel if that promise was made to you.
Now share with us in the comments if you knew anything about the 40 Acres and a Mule or the Homestead Act. This YouTube video is being sponsored by Honey Water Moscato, a smooth, sweet, and buzzworthy wine at 15% ABV. It's vegan friendly and perfect for any occasion. Please visit our website at kosherwines.com and follow us on Instagram at kosherwines.
It's a cultural divide. I'm gonna get it on the flow.
Cultural divide or cultural inclusion? Well, clearly from this perspective, not all elders nor all white people hated Kendrick's performance. I mean, my man literally got the nursing home lit making TikTok videos.
Hey, I'm tripping, I'm sliding, I'm riding through the back like bust that on the beat, bro.
Not Like Us, the rap beef song that everybody was wondering if Kendrick was gonna actually perform due to the shots at Drake. He references NBA Hall of Famer John Stockton in the song and actually got a response.
My name got mentioned at halftime of a Super Bowl, but you did.
Now, many people have expressed their disagreements with Kendrick for actually performing this song that was about an apparent beef with Drake, feeling that this was not the proper platform to do so. And at the same time, the entire stadium could not wait to join in unison.
Probably A minor.
Speaking of minors, toddlers seem to get pretty lit when Kendrick's music comes on. And speaking of music, we can't forget about the legendary sample on my favorite song on Kendrick's album, Luther.
If this world were mine.
The official Instagram page of Luther Vandross showed appreciation by posting a video mashup of Kendrick's performance and the original performance of Luther Vandross for the song that was sampled. Second point of respect, shout out to Kendrick for maintaining a level of decency and modesty for his black performers, especially the black women who represented with their clothes on in a world full of hypersexuality, something you rarely expect in today's hip-hop culture. Love it or hate it, Kendrick's performance wasn't just a show, it was a statement. It sparked conversation, challenged narratives, and most importantly, reflected the culture in a way we rarely see on a stage that massive. While some people were uncomfortable, that discomfort is exactly why it was so powerful. Great art isn't about pleasing everyone, it's about impact, and whether through the music, the symbolism, or the sheer cultural weight behind it, this performance cemented itself as one of the most important halftime shows in the history of the Super Bowl. Because years from now, people won't just remember who liked it or who didn't. They'll remember how it elevated the culture.
They don't want any black or brown person to actually challenge us or cause us to think or to wonder or to ask questions or to no. And they would see doing that at a halftime show as extremely inappropriate to do because your job is to just entertain us.
And he entertained us with a warrior spirit of knowledge and symbolism. And if anybody tells you anything different, Chosen Ones, I am forever grateful for you tuning in to the Chosen One Cinema YouTube channel. This is where culture, community, and creativity meets commentary and conversation with yours truly, King Kosher. If you're all about elevating the culture, it will mean the world to me if you become one of our newest subscribers. Please hit the subscribe button because we are on our way to our first 1,000 subscribers, 10,000, 100,000, and even 1 million subscribers. But we need you in order to do that.
So let's decode the cinema and elevate the culture.
Decode.